Malawi is on an unavoidable path of growth in the art scene. Visually, forces are rising. Musically, its originality is hastily becoming an imprint. Writers are scribbling brilliance for exposure and authenticity, to name the least. With a massive excellence in budding art comes the need to explore avenues that will in turn benefit the artist. My name is Miss Mbumba, and this is Art and Money, a program proudly funded by the Copyright Society of Malawi, COSOMA. Join us. Have a seat. Good morning. And in today's episode, we are headfast into trying to tackle the one thing that most artists, of course, have a huge problem accomplishing. It's branding. What exactly is a brand? How can one even brand themselves? Where do they even begin? We've seen many Malawian artists that are very successful right now transition from rags to fame in a blink of an eye. And you would think that it was magic. But I can tell you this one thing, and I guarantee you it is definitely not magic. It was a whole embodiment of rebranding and strategizing, because no matter what, there has to be something that you can associate your favorite artist to. Now, let's quickly dive into today's discussion. But before that, a song by these two fresh Malawian artists, Aid First and Kineo, and this one is called 2-2. To keep us relaxed, of course, and excited. So do not touch that dial. I'll be right back after this.
Chiki bopia soni izitele mapena te Ongola kwa kyoko ineni na wechele se Okamandi dusa paningo fila pena se Kondisi ya inenko kesanka uyo makini za China se Rekile ni wine premier beti Nalamazundi kukulile shipenzi Mwinofuna kocha le fendi Nangundi sanke ni wine kampeni Rekile ni wine beti Nalamazundi kukulile shipenzi Mwinofuna kocha le fendi Nangundi sanke ni wine kampeni Jojo kalibo libo Jojo kalibo libo Jojo kalibo libo Jojo kalibo libo Efesa kuchisanga yeah 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 Ango sanke na woka yeah 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 Efesa kuchisanga yeah 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 Ango sanke na woka yeah 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 Oh my baby, que muisi nalifefe Wango fela zichelede, yegusia makwalite Asa kuna mize, wana wafeki wadize Desa gubalalise, asa gubasepize Tutu galibo libo, iwe nine jilibo libo Iwe mpoto ineyo ntigo, como ligo nigafiga Tutu galibo libo, iwe nine jilibo libo Iwe mpoto ineyo ntigo, como ligo nigafiga Tutu galibo libo Jojo kalibo libo Jojo kalibo libo Jojo
beautiful song, that one. Now, we all engage with brands and we do it regularly. Fundamentally, a brand is a logo that is paired with either a symbol, design, tagline, name, or a similar feature that separates it from other businesses. Now, I'm sure we can think of one that is coming to mind. Take, for example, Adidas. That is a brand that you can associate with a particular logo on literally every kind of apparel that you can find. Now, at least from that perspective of customers and or fans, some people will make an argument that it is an oversimplification and that brands are a lot more elaborate. For instance, brands are synonymous with reputations and tell people what to expect from the company that it represents. We can say, then, that a brand can be defined as a visual identity representation. Artists throughout history identified with audiences through branding, after all. Now, by that token, every musical artist or any kind of artist that you can think of has a brand that is already, even if they don't even realize it. Could be in the way they dress, could be in the way they speak, or perhaps they have a specific tagline that they use on every speech that they utter. Could be even in the way they walk. That can be a brand that is associated with a particular artist, and they might not even know it. One typical mistake that many artists make involves confusing branding with authenticity oftentimes. You see, people would think, for example, a musical artist, that it's all just about the music that they make. But it is something that you hear people say when they're discussing the image of the musician. For instance, perhaps you are talking about Marilyn Manson, this goth rock star that everybody is always trying to associate with in that type of genre. They would think it's evil music, bad music, and that's what they associate that particular brand with. But it is just the brand of the artist. It does not mean that that is the person in actual sense. Actually, when you meet them, they are totally different people. Now, some people fear losing their credibility by removing focus from the music and allocating it towards an image. It's very important that as an artist, you learn to identify both in the music or whatever form of art that you do and how you relay outside of your particular art. Now, I came across a very interesting interview with Steven Weber over the internet, and I felt, you know what, this information definitely needs to be relayed because I felt it was very helpful for the everyday artist. Steven Weber is a former professor at Berklee Online Music School, a producer, and a renowned music business personnel. So, definitely, he's got some very helpful intel on identity as an artist. Keep a close ear and listen to what he has to say. And of course, I'll be right back after this.
It's basically just, who are you? Who the heck are you as an artist? Where did you come from? What is your point of view? And this can have a lot of different aspects to it. First is, your personal identity, and do you want to share that? Some people think that what we're talking about when we talk about identity is putting on some sort of a disguise. While that probably has been done sometimes, I think generally it doesn't work that well to do that. It has to come from inside you. It has to be something that you really do vibe with yourself. It's hard to name a very successful pop star or country star or even jazz star for that matter who doesn't have a really, really strong identity, that you don't know what they're about. They have usually a very strong visual identity. They have a personal identity. A lot of times they'll have an interesting backstory, and that can be really interesting as well. Who you are, having a sense of yourself. If you're listening to this and you say, I have no idea who I am. Maybe it's a good idea to actually start writing some stuff down. And one of the exercises that I have my students do as artists is to think of an artist that they're kind of similar to. Some people bristle at that a little bit, but if you really get down to it, there's often somebody who influenced you, whether it was the Beatles or the Stones or Lady Gaga or whoever. But then think of another artist that in some way you have some element that is similar to, and the second artist should be as far away from the first artist as possible. So for me, like, the first artist might be Earl Scruggs because I play the banjo. The second artist might be Grandmaster Flash because I also play the turntables, and that's just weird, right? But that makes it kind of fascinating, Who else does that? And then think about what I call your unique differentiator. And what that is what is it about you that is very unusual for your, the journey of what you're undertaking. But what is it about you that not many people know? And this can be something that you haven't thought of, that you think maybe has nothing to do with your art, and at the same time it could be kind of the coolest thing. So then the algorithm is to say, this person is, example A meets example B with a healthy dose of this unique differentiator. And if you start thinking about putting that together, it can, I think, really help to focus, what it is you're doing and who you are as an artist. The most boring answer to the question, what kind of music do you play, is just to say, oh, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's really hard to, I can't put my music into any specific genre. The thing is that people think they're being unique when they say that, but actually that's what everybody says. So they're actually they're conforming to everybody else when they say. You look at the Beatles as an example. Each record had a very clear vision to it, and the vision of Abbey Road was entirely different than Meet the Beatles and Let It Be and Sgt. Pepper's. They were all very, very different, but they had a very specific vision, what they were trying to accomplish, what they were trying to say. A recording artist is actually rewarded more for the specificity of their vision than their versatility. Because if you come out with an album that's just all over the place, and there's a hip-hop track, and there's a country track, and there's a big band track, and there's classical, nobody's going to know what to do with it, and nobody's going to be in the mood to sit there and listen to it. When I put on an album, when I call something up on Spotify, I'm looking for a vibe that I want to kind of take me through a little ways. I don't want to be just jerked around and and all over the place. So having a vision of what you're trying to accomplish, I think, is key. And one way to do that I found extremely effective is to actually try planning out 3 albums at once. So instead of just saying, okay, this is going to be our album, we're going to do this and this and this and this, because then you usually try to cram 100 pounds of sausage into a 50-pound case, But if you're thinking, I'm going to do 3 albums, then everything that kind of fits into the one vibe you can put in one album, and the things that don't fit in it, you can be looking at other albums. Works of art hold together if there's unity, if they have some sort of unity that really ties a thing together. Now, that's not to say that there can't be surprises here and there in the record, and you want there to be surprises. I'm not saying you have to be, just absolutely
all slow songs or all fast songs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, not at all, not at all. And in fact, tempo, the example of Kind of Blue is very specific in that, Miles even went the step of not doing anything fast on the record. You can have fast songs and slow songs. They can be tied together by some other kind of unity. There can be a theme. There can be an overriding style. There can be an overarching vocal quality to it. But actually having a vision where people can listen to your music and really get a sense of, what your vision was. I mean, that can be very powerful.
Right, that was a very interesting interview right there. I took a lot for my personal knowledge, and I hope that you, dear listener, also picked up a few things for your personal gain. Now, although prioritizing substance over style is what most musicians are striving for, credible artists historically have cultivated powerful and defined images that articulate a visual identity. And that is why identity is something that one needs to properly understand and learn from their personal journey as an artist in what kind of identity they would like to associate with. Strong artists understand that success involves more than songs that are well crafted or literally any piece of art that one partakes in. Artist branding involves channeling the person's art through various energy, using identity and visual styles consistently. So even the way you dress, the way you go out in the streets and how people view you, the things you eat, the things you post on your social media, the people that you associate with will basically one hand or the other contribute to your brand. This is done to establish a tribal royalty, which in turn stimulates people to become fans of a particular artist. A brand must be thought of as much more than the music or the art that one represents. Literally, your brand is everything. But at that point, we're definitely going to go back to some music and listen to something coming in from Namadingo. And this one is called Kwenye Kuno. I'll be right back after this. Do not touch that dial. Do not forget that you're listening to Art and Money. And my name is Miss Mbumba.
At this point, Balibenga nilese nili unstoppable. Somewhere ziri muma indi manga, city unchangeable, city unremovable. Yeah, I'm not a failure. Sindi ne orepera, ine di kulubirira. Konkuno, chauta chitazo tapisa inu konkuno. Afufuta matoka na ponya pomai. Konkuno. Simuta mfeta zo machite kuno. Konkuno. Ikwana ndawi yake konkuno. True story, sijitika konkuno. Sijitika konkuno. Seriously, iwo akupanga zaine. Ati singa kale mwini munda, inenda ngoenera kandime. Ati singa kale mwini chitsime, nditipe mpanka funa ndimwe. Aliyemwe yuzulo tanda ndinkuja, pambuza keti ni pompaja. Sari kutali yari konkuno, ferere de tu showcase. Bambu zake, adanga mbako ndaka nkumeza. Oderera, chauta. Adamu kweza Yosefe mutiko la ukapolo. Chauta, kudari kuti konkuno. Kutiko konkuno. Ifeti kweze doma udindo konkuno. Hati tipeza chuma konkuno. Kwene kuno. Chiuta wari nane. Kwene kuno. Weza mkunire kapocha. Kwene kuno. Kwenda na ungweru wake. Kwene kuno. Akoma sindiri ndeka. Antu amulungu ari konkuno. Akundipemberera ine konkuno. Kundisarira kudya kupembedzera. Amai maona. Stera na madingwa kupembera konkuno. Kwene kuno. Badada vakutipurika. Kwene kuno. Ati kwene kuno. Atafumu yoso ititangirire nge kuno. Kwene kuno. Wamuira sweet. Mwabanyane dirindizwe. Viwe mivikwiza. Kwa ise dirindizwe nge nyengo itu. Banganya no kufuka cha. Umana nyengo yonde. Nyengo yonde inisangenge. Nyengo yonde izamfika. Kwene kuno. Ati kwene kuno. chino chichitike fumu kwene kuno yo kwene kuno yo ati kwene kuno ine nina chigomezgo wabantu kwene kuno chiutawanira se kwene kuno.
Art.
Luso.
Art.
Luso lolenga komanso kubeka.
Art.
Luso lolenga.
Art.
Kulenga zinthu kudzera mu luso.
Art.
Luso lolenga komanso kubeka.
Story Club FM is a revolutionary art-centric radio station that is designed to give rise to a culture shift by elevating society's appreciation of art as an integral part of development. Our vision is to empower society through arts. Story Club FM, the culture is art.
Done with that very beautiful song, sit back because I've got some really seriously interesting information to relay with you now. Now, because we're talking about branding today, I really would love for any artist that's listening right now to begin to take branding very seriously. Early on in one's career as an artist, one must remind themselves that the things they post on internet will not go away. So literally anything that you post can be used 10 years from then, 2 years, 5 years from then. It's very important to be careful the things one posts. I think over the weeks we have been seeing how so many Malawian celebrities have used or misused their brands on social media. So many things have been relayed in personality and of course private lives and things of that sort, things that they probably didn't want to be exposed out in public. So it's very important how one reacts to things on social media. One as an artist should take seriously refraining from posting anything without thinking things through. Your image is something you need to guard almost jealously. So concentrate on an image you can sustain as opposed to one that trends with the times. Your brand is a living, breathing thing, and it will evolve over time. So the more successful you become, the more issues will follow if you are not careful with your social media. It should always be taken seriously and never dismissed as an aspect of inauthenticity or a corporate exercise by the artist. Artist branding involves visual communication, giving you an opportunity to isolate yourself from the pack, which is the rest of the people. So do not forget, as an artist, if you enjoy it, so too will your fans. Just be careful how you use it. So lastly, before I shut down for the day, one needs to know how they can create a strong brand. To create an effective brand, you must first define the type of customer that you have in your mind. Second, you must also create and refine your brand to a simple item or phrase as possible. Don't make it too complex. And thirdly, you have to promote your brand constantly at all times. Literally everywhere you go, every breath you take, you are promoting your brand however way that you are. So assuming you already know your customers or who you are trying to appeal to, we need to basically just talk a little bit in second phase, creating and refining one's brand. Now, you have to learn to define your key core competency or best thing that you offer as an artist. Take some time to sit down and really apply yourself to defining the single best thing that you do. Often this will be what people already mention when they discuss you or when they discuss your art. After all, that's what you are very good at, your art. Other times, what makes you unique is the reason you create your art or the life experiences you've had which have shaped you as an artist. There is no wrong answer, trust me on this. Simply find the unique element that you as an artist have and move on to step 2 of your branding. Number 2, you need to create a key phrase built around your core competency. Now, there will be probably many ways to describe yourself and your unique abilities, but you have to remember that a key phrase should be short and very concise. So work towards that key phrase. You know, some artists have their key phrases that they are very attached to. Let's say, so many artists that I can think of course, everything is just bubbling in my head right now. 50 Cent, for example, you are going to associate him with being a gangster because he has always addressed himself as a gangster. That's the particular phrase that one has to associate themselves with at all costs. So it's very important to create a phrase that any kind of person or your fan can associate with at all times. So you have to look around and see what statements are being used by other artists and learn from them. So learn from their mistakes or successes, and then when you create your own phrase, make it different and make it unique. Thirdly, you need to draft a symbol or a logo to reinforce the message visually, all right? So when people see your name in a logo form, they have already associated you with your brand or with you as an artist. Sometimes having a symbol or a visual identity to go along with your branding statement can be very effective, but it isn't always necessary. But trust me on that. I would definitely 100% ask that you do something like that. However, if you feel the need for a logo to reinforce your key statement, then create one or have someone create it for you. So what I mean by adapt one is that logos are often created simply by consistently using a unique font, right? So you have to stick with one type of face every time you use your statement. Put that logo there that has your name or your personal brand's logo. Always use that whenever you make a statement. Stick with one type of face every time you use your statement, and that will become a symbol that you are known for everywhere you go. So however way, and I hope that it helps, this kind of information could definitely help build your brand, starting from the foot up. And that's just a basic overview on how you can basically just establish yourself as an artist, be it in the music, visual arts, poetry, whatever it is. Even as photographers, painters, you name it, you need to just be very concise about your branding. Literally from everything you wear, the things you eat, the things you post on social media, where you go, who you associate with can build your brand. So even if it means cutting some people off, I would guarantee you it's gonna help with the success of your career as an artist. But of course, why don't we say our goodbyes in this particular episode? Be there next week as I bring you another beautiful episode of Art and Money. Something more elaborate, something that will help the young artists out there grow and become the best that they can be in whatever art that they do. Do remember that Art and Money comes to you heavily sponsored by the Copyright Fund from Kosoma. Be there next week. Adios and bye-bye.